So, music theory is very easy if you get to know it. So, today we'll be doing some learning of chords and scales, basic theory. Now, when doing theory, you should remember, you've probably heard of the circle of fifths, that basically there's the sharps and there's the flats. Circle of fifths, you can think about it in a straight line. Makes it much easier to think about it in a straight line. And wait 1 second. Okay, you should think that the circle of fifths basically F, C, G, D, A, E, B. So this way goes the flats, and this way go the sharps. Now if you didn't understand that too well, I'll explain this to you. See? It's easier to look at it this way, because as you go up here, actually, this is the opposite way. No, actually, this doesn't make any sense. So you will see, there's a C scale. When you're going with sharps, you only need to know the C scale. So, there's every tone in a note has a number. So, this is a C scale. The first note you hear is the first tone. So this is the first one. There. Wait 1 second. This is the first one. Second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread out those numbers a little more so that it can be made into a better chart. Okay, so when doing this exercise, you will see how the scales match up. So here, I will put some line paper. It will make it a little easier. Okay, so C. This is the C scale. C. Now, when you're doing this, why do I keep editing? Maybe because I'm not. Okay, so you should put the first note. Remember, C. That's the first note in the C scale. The last note is C. So, now, the rules are. These are the rules. Cannot use same letter when writing the scale. You can't use the same letter. So you're going to see here C, D, E, F, G, A, B. You notice that I never used any of the letters twice except for tone 1 and 8. Those are actually called scale degrees. So now you will also see that you may have learned previously that a black note has, for example, that's F sharp, but it's also G flat. Now when you're writing the scale, again, you do not write the same letter twice. So you may as well have a note that doesn't seem like one you've seen, but it will be there. So as you can see here, C, that's a C scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, the rule is you have to have a half step between 3 and 4, and 7 and 8. That's all you have to think. Nothing else. Do not think about whole steps. Do not at all. So, there's something called a circle of fifths, a fifth on the keyboard. When you do a fifth from C, it's G. That's G. So, a fifth from C is G. You will notice that this key, look how interesting. This key will, here, G, A, remember, each note on the scale, B, think, how can I make a half step there? C, C, B to C is a half step. D, E, F, I think I made a mistake here. G, A, B, C, D, E, yes, no, correct. But to make a half step, you need to make this F sharp. Cannot be a half step without it being F sharp to G. F sharp to G. And F sharp is known as the leading tone. So this is the leading. Now, to continue where I left off, from G. The next one up, a fifth. Remember a fifth. It's 5 notes. In this case, later I will teach you more about fifths and intervals. To D. So, remember, put a D here and a D at the end so that you can see something. You can't use a letter again. D, E, F. How do you make a half step there? Between F, you need an F sharp. You will notice that the F sharp carries over. The F sharp carries over. So it will always, when you're writing a new scale in this circle of fifths, it will always carry the sharps from before over. You will notice that. I will point them out. So as you can see here, F, and then you need to use a G somewhere because you can't repeat a letter. So you could never, oh, I'm sorry. And also, rule number 2 is you cannot mix sharps and flats. So, here I'm making my own errors too. D, E, F. Oh, I see where I went wrong. It's not F. E to F sharp. That's a whole step. Guess there you can think about a whole step. But try not to think about it like that. So from F, but then again, you needed an F because you can't repeat a letter. So, you need an F. What do you do to it? Are you going to sharp it? No. You need a space here, a half step. How do you make a half step between an F and a G? F sharp. And the F sharp carried over, as you can see here. So, A, B, C. Do you have a half step between a C and a D? No, you need a C sharp. Next one, circle of fifths. Fifth up from D is A. So now this would be A, B, C sharp. You do notice a C sharp here. It carries over. D. Is there a half step between C sharp and D? Yes. E, F, G, sharp. G, sharp. G sharp to A is a half step. So you're fine there. Continuing on. Next up from A is E. E. So E, remember you can't reuse a letter. E, F, G sharp. You notice I'm carrying the G sharp from over here. G sharp. You will always carry the sharp when you're using sharps. Notice that these are all called major keys. These are all major. F, G sharp. A, B, C, D sharp, you notice. D sharp. There's a half step between there. Next up on the circle, fifth is B. Now B has a lot of sharps. B, C, D sharp. You notice the D sharp is coming from before. E, and there's a half step between here. F, G, A sharp, B. Next up from the circle, fifth. Now, you have to be careful because, as you can see here, the F has already been sharp before. And as I said, it always carries over. So that means this is not an F scale. Not an F scale. Make sure you pay attention. It's an F sharp scale. F sharp major. That is what it's called. So this is C major. This is G major. This is D major. This is A major. This is E major, B major, F sharp major. Take off this little extra circle. So the F sharp scale is the fifth up from the B sharp scale, the B scale. My bad. Remember, you have to use every note, meaning every letter in the alphabet. F, G. Don't worry that you have, oh, do I have sharp, flat? Let me see. F sharp. Now, G sharp. Why is it G sharp? Here, I guess you have to think whole step, because this part has a whole step. But you continue. A sharp. Now, from an A sharp to a B, just a B natural, B is a half step, as you can see. From a B to a C sharp is a whole, but don't think about the wholes as much. And then D sharp, just note that each letter has to be used once. And then E. D sharp, E. Sharp. Because from D sharp to E sharp. Then again, you've never heard E sharp. Wow. A little review. An E sharp technically equals an E sharp technically equals an F, but as I said, you can't reuse any letters. It was one of the rules, remember? So with that being said, you have to say E sharp. Stylistic manner that it is, you have to use E sharp. Next up from F sharp is C sharp. Now, before I continue, I would like to explain that there are generic and specific intervals. Intervals are actually important. Now, when you're looking at a generic interval, it's basically the interval you see in a staff, not on the keyboard. Forget about the keyboard. It's all you see on the staff. So a second would be between this and this. That looks like a second. That's what you're used to seeing as a second. That's a generic second. Even this is a generic second. Doesn't matter. There's a sharp or flat. This note is still here, and this note is still here. So they still look like seconds. Now, when you mention the keyboard, so that was generic interval. Next, I will tell you about specific intervals. Okay. Now, as you may see, this is my piano, by the way. The specific interval is when there is a space, when you factor in the staff with a generic. For example, let's do a generic second. Remember, you just learned that this was a generic second. Now, a specific second. Wait, sorry, not a specific second. So to explain it like this. Okay, so this is this one they call a major second. As you can see, that's from here, okay, here to, oh, my mistake. This is not a major second. I would have to do this. That's probably called a minor second. Anyway, this is a D, correct? This is an E. D to E is called a major second because it's 2 half steps. 1, 2. 2 half steps, as you can see. Now, so that's called a major second. 2 half steps. And it looks like a generic second on a staff. Referring to that, this note, which is an E, and this note, a sharp, are also a major second, which is a specific second. It's a major second. So you can see, looks like a second because it has these 2 notes on a staff. So you'll have this note and then you have a sharp sign. You'll have this note and then a sharp sign. So this is a major second. Just 2 half steps, that's all. Now, a major third is made up of 4 half steps. So you see, a third on a keyboard would look, remember this is the little ledger line. This is C, E, and G. Third on the keyboard would look something like that. That's a generic third. Now, here, as you can see, that generic third looks like that. But for it to be a specific major third, it has to have 4 half steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you count from here. You start out here, and then this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So then, that's a major third. Now, a perfect fourth is an interval of 5 half steps. So from now, you can just count. Think. So this is the starting zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you notice that between here and here, that's from a C to an F. Notice it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can count from a generic. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, it's a fourth. But what makes it a perfect fourth is that it is made up of 5 half steps on the keyboard. Now, as you can guess, a perfect fifth must be pretty similar. So you start with a root note, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You do notice that from here to here, that would be from C.
Shit, Bobby, I forgot my friggin' pen right here. Damn it.
From C to G would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you notice, that's a fifth on a staff, and it's 7 half steps on a keyboard. Going up a major 6, 9 half steps. So here's the root note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You will notice that from here to this note right here, actually it's 7, 8, 9. You will notice that from this note to this note, if I bring it down here, this is a C, and this is an A. We'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You will notice it is a 6. This is a 6. Next up would be what they call, that was called a major 6. Next is a major 7th. You notice some of them are perfect and some of them are major. I'll show you a summary at the end. Major 7th is made up of 11 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And from here to here, it should be a 7th. So here's a C. And here is B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see I am correct. It is a 7. Let me get back on track before I continue. Next is an octave, but then I'll teach you augmented and diminished chords. That will be later on. So as you can see what intervals are, you can see how I find an interval of a fifth. It is exactly 7 half steps from the note. So from B to F sharp is 7 half steps. From E to B is 7 half steps. You can check it on the piano for yourself. A to E, D to A, G to D, C to D, G. Now, a fifth up from F. Remember I said 7 half steps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It'll be C sharp. C sharp. So this is a scale C sharp major. Remember, you can't repeat any letter. C, D, C sharp, so it'll have to be D sharp. You have to say E sharp, which is basically an F, but you have to use each letter. So then, remember, you have to make sure there's a half step between these two. So between E sharp and F, there is certainly a half step. Between E sharp and F sharp. Do notice this is coming down. So so now you continue up. You have to say G, G sharp. Remember, it's coming down from here. And then A sharp, coming down again, and then B, you need a half step, so B to C sharp, that would not be a half step, so you need a B sharp. Weird as that sounds, a B is technically, B sharp is technically equal to a C, but the style of the scales requires you to put a B sharp right here. It's pretty much all the major scales you will encounter in your music for right now. To review some minor scales. Now, let me copy the design here. Remember, these are the scale tones. Remember, okay, the only scale you need to memorize here, remember, half step between 3 and 4, 7 and 8. These are the flats. Only scales you need to memorize here, only scale, is the S scale. The S scale only has one flat. remember, again, each note has to be used once. G. You might have heard an F scale before. So, F, G, A, you need a half step. Now you're in flat. You're doing only flats. So, this would be a B flat. Think about flats, not sharps. And then it would have to be C, D, E, F. And there's a half step between E and F. In a circle of fifths, now you're going the opposite way of the circle of fifths. So you either go down a fifth, which in this case would be B flat. It would be the scale of B flat major. B flat major. Or you go up a fourth. How much did I say a fourth was? A fourth is 5 half steps. A perfect fourth is 5 half steps. So you can go F, and that's just 5 half steps. Still a B flat. So a B flat scale, start out with B flat, end with B flat, B flat, C. You do the same carryover thing here. So D, you need a half step. So E flat, F, G, A. Is there a half step between A and B flat? Yes, there is. You're fine. The rest of the scale is fine. From B flat, up a fourth. That is an E flat. E, you need an F. Imagine it in your mind. E flat between an F, D, and G. You need an A flat to keep the half step. Always remember that half step. B. So it would be. You B flat because you're carrying it down from before. So C, D, E flat. D to E flat is the half step. E flat. E flat. Next note is an A flat. Should be getting the hang by now. A, B, flat, because of before. C. B flat. Need a half step, so D flat. Then you need an E flat from before, an F flat, and a G to an A flat is a half step. I will continue this video in a few seconds. So watch the next one.